Hey,
How's it going?
good. How's your
Good.
weekend? Relaxing, I hope.
Yeah, fairly relaxing. Got a little bit of a cold right now, but pretty good. Things were nice. Things were nice. It's good
Awesome.
to have a nice weekend without thinking too much about. I didn't really try to think about work at all this weekend, which is good.
Cool. So that was successful. You were able to kind of not turn it on.
Yeah, I really didn't. I kind of went to a car show on Sunday and kind of just took it easy and spent some time outside. It was really beautiful this weekend and didn't pay much attention to work at all,
Cool.
which was
Yeah, it
good.
was a warm weekend. The baby's now getting a little more interested in, Halloween stuff. So this was like, last year it was just like put her in a costume and for our benefit. This year it was a little bit more. She was more interested in it, right? So we took her to an event and went trick or treating, and so that was awesome.
Yeah, it's for your benefit. Now she's into it.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now she's like interested in getting a piece of candy from a from a stranger.
Right. Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
So I had something really. This was just kind of a neat thing that just happened today. It was really brief, but it was like just a nice reminder. Like I was trying to chew on a technical problem. So we're doing bulk email in high rise, and it's out in production now. Not people don't have access to it. It's still behind some feature flags. But I was trying to tackle a kind of a engineering challenge. And so I just started talking to my wife about it, who isn't a software engineer and really has no idea what I'm trying to like actually do. But it was really nice to just talk to anybody, and just even maybe because she was even just this lay person, and it was just really nice to kind of just go through some of the steps of what I was trying to do. And I just had like this insight, this like epiphany about like what I was actually, just trying to solve. Became really clear just talking to her about it. And she was just a sounding board, right? Like just something about the act of trying to talk to her about it, and maybe even trying to kind of get it to more of a non-developer's perspective and sketch it out on paper, just led me to an insight that I wasn't having just doing it on my own. That was just really neat. And I think we realize that happens to a lot of us. I think when we go through the motions of trying to describe something to someone, we then like describe, it dawns on us like, oh, that's the solution. It was cool. It was cool to just go through that again.
What was the solution?
It's inside baseball.
Okay.
I mean, it deals with like, um, I was trying to kind of figure out. I don't even know if it's even worth explaining here now. It's like I was trying to do something with our unsubscribe links. I'm trying to provide the power of, letting people kind of unsubscribe from these bulk emails. And I was worried my solution wasn't maybe sophisticated enough. So then I was like, try to do this other thing, but then it was going to affect how we were doing our Gmail integration. And in the end, it was like I was able to find kind of a compromise. But again, it too inside baseball. It won't even make sense here.
Okay.
So
But
um,
the point was, it was good to speak to someone who had nothing to do with the development of the feature.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I
very
mean,
easy to get to we're dealing with this right now, actually, right before the show started here. There's a little discussion internally about should people like should base camps in Basecamp 3 should base camps that are archived, and again, just remind people, we used to call them projects, now we're calling them base camps. Should archived base camps be editable? And I just like let's step back. What does it even mean? And like we pulled along this language called archived from Basecamp Classic and BCX, because we used to have a notion there was an active project and there was an archive project. And the reason we had that is because we had a business model that was about each plan had a certain number of projects you could have, and then if you hit your limit, you'd have to archive some, and archive projects didn't count towards your limit. We've done away with that completely now. There are no such, every Basecamp package has a limited Basecamp. So like we're dragging this word along called archived, and I just wanted to like, there's a discussion where I'm like, well, first of all, what does it mean anymore? Like we need to understand what it means first, because we're trying to make decisions about something based on a definition that is no longer, it may not apply anymore. Maybe it does, I don't know, but we should be questioning that, because we're dragging something along that had a lot of hooks and there's no hooks anymore. So like, would it be better to call them, like, would it be better? My angle is that, and to get to the point is like, we have a blind spot. we have a blind spot because we're working on the thing and we're speaking a language that we've spoken for years. And so we all know, we like have all these built-in assumptions about what it means, but customers don't necessarily know what that means. And I'm thinking like, if someone's work is over, let's say someone's running a project in Basecamp and it's over. Like if I could switch to a status called done or it's over or complete, that would communicate something to me. That would communicate like there's intent there. There's a label that has meaning. It communicates something. Archive doesn't communicate something because archive can mean just get it out of my way. It could mean it's over. It could mean it's on hold. It could mean we're going to get back to it later. Like, I don't know what it means. And so it doesn't communicate anything whatsoever. And so I just want us to be careful of just reusing some language we've used in the past that has less meaning than it had before.
Yeah.
And not creating a situation where we can instead come up with like better, maybe we should have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different statuses that communicate something, that say something, instead of just basically cargo culting language that we came up with that doesn't have any relevance anymore. Anyway, so the point is that there's a long answer, but it's not quite the same as what you're talking about, but it's similar in a way that when you're so used to it and you're talking to people who are developing this feature, you're not really getting, you're getting different perspectives, but the perspectives are still very narrow because you're used to something versus having someone from the outside go, that doesn't make any sense. I don't get that, or I wouldn't think of it that way. But you know what I'm saying? It's similar in that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It's a nice reminder, like when you do bump into some of these roadblocks, to obviously, question like what you've been assuming all along, and talking to this other person who isn't part of it at all. Yeah, is a good way of helping question all of those things I was just assuming and crystallizing like what I was thinking and seeing some of the gaps. Anyway, it's a good reminder.
Yep. Cool.
So yeah, what, you're like a week into pushing Basecamp 3 stuff out. You want to, any kind of insights you've drawn upon? Like, I've been seeing this interesting stuff you guys have been doing with notifications. Is there some stuff you want to show there? Or anything?
Yeah, I thought I could show some of that stuff. We're still in the sort of private launch phase, so we're going to send out probably another 1,000 invites this week or so, and then hopefully next week go live for everybody. There's a couple things we don't have quite working quite right yet that we want to just get right this week before we go for everybody. But yeah, I thought it would be kind of cool to talk about notifications, and I can share my screen and talk about some decisions we made around that. Cool. So let me, well, actually, before we get into it, before we show screens, let me just kind of give some background. So Basecamp, before Basecamp 3, so Classic and BCX, there's really only one method of notifications. We had emails. So someone posted a message, an email went out. Someone posted a comment, an email went out. You could change the frequency of emails. You could batch them and get a digest or whatever. But email was the only notification method. And when we switched to building BC3, we're launching iOS, Android, and desktop simultaneously. We built in push notifications from the start, and we also have in-app notifications and desktop or browser notifications, or I don't know if they're called browser or desktop notifications, but same thing. I'm not actually sure what they're called, but there's a bunch of different ways to be notified now, and so there's some good stuff to that, and there's some bad stuff. One thing that's more complicated are rules. Like when is someone notified in one place? Are you notified in 2 places or 3 places? And when does it get annoying and when does it not? And so we built this system that has this sort of cascading notification system where it starts in the browser. So if you're in the browser and someone posts something, you get a little badge or comments or whatever, or adds something, whatever it is, assigns something to you, mentions you, mentions you, whatever. You get a little badge in the app, okay?
Yep.
And that's, if your browser's open, if Basecamp is in any tab, you get that. That's all you get. Mm-hmm. Now, if you set your browser up to have browser notifications, you'd also get a push notification, like one of those things that show up in the top right corner, basically. Mm-hmm. If Basecamp's not in any browser tab, that means you're not reachable via your desktop. We then cascade down to mobile. So we check and say, do you have one of the native apps installed? If so, which one? And do you have push notifications on? And if so, push a notification there, okay? But if you don't have your desktop, if you don't have Basecamp open on your desktop, if you don't have one of the mobile apps installed, or if you have one installed but you don't have push notifications on, we can't reach you in any of those places. We'll then go down to email. So we'll then send you an email. So this is sort of a cascading set of notifications that are going to reach you where you are, no matter what, but hopefully not try and reach you in 2 or 3 places at once, because that would get annoying.
Okay, so even if I say I haven't read my phone push notifications, you won't send the email out?
That's correct. We will not send the email. If you have a push notification. But if you don't have if you don't have app installed and don't have push installed, if you don't have Basecamp open in a browser, we will email you.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, there's another scenario where if you have a desktop notification come up on your desktop and you don't close it out, we want to make sure that you don't miss it, so we send it to your phone. So for example, let's say you have your computer open, but you're in another room, or like you have it open and you're whatever, or you have 2 computers or whatever it is. It's very easy for a push notification to come up on your desktop and to miss it because you're not paying attention, because they fade away, I think, after 15 seconds or something. So like it's easy to miss that. So if you don't dismiss it or click on it, we will then go down to the next level of notifications, which would be your phone in that case. Anyway, there's this cascading system, and it's
cool. Yeah.
It's in some ways kind of complicated to describe, but it also just sort of works. And so it's actually pretty good. However, it's not. There's certain times where you want to customize it. So you might want to turn notifications off on your phone, okay? Even though you have the app installed. So like, and then in that case, then what happens? So like, there's a couple different rules. But one of the things that we don't have is we have this notion of you're able to snooze notifications globally or turn them off globally. But you can also turn them off temporarily on a specific device. So there's like those kind of settings. It's surprisingly complex when you get down to all the places where you can be notified and how you want to be notified. Yeah. But I want to show you something else we're exploring. So let me share my screen here. Let me know when you see my browser.
Cool.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So so right now my notifications are on. And we've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go that into it, but you can set your own schedule for when you want to receive notifications, all the time or only during certain work hours or certain days, right? Mm-hmm. You can also, at any time, you'll see my notifications are on. It tells me why they're on. It says they're on because I'm set to receive them between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. But if I want to snooze them, I can snooze them. Now, when I snooze notifications, it means that Basecamp's not going to actively go out and tell me anything. So it's not going to go out and send me a push notification on my phone. It's not going to send me an email. It's not going to send me desktop notifications, okay? But I still have badges, okay? And these badges don't go away. And if there's a new ping comes in, for example, I'll get another badge that'll say 2 or 3, okay? But I'm not like actively being pitched notifications. I don't have things popping up on my screen. I don't have anything going on my phone. Does that make sense so far?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. But what's come up is that people have wanted to also just kind of like go quiet, completely quiet, right? We decided that snoozing your notifications should not hide badges because there's sort of a difference between going completely dark and also just not being actively pushed or popped up at. Right. So snoozing basically means we're not pushing or popping up, okay? But some people have said, I don't want to even see these badges. I want to go into what we're calling focus mode. I want to go dark. And this might be when you're working on something, you're writing something up, you're manipulating a to-do list, you're working on something thoroughly, and you just don't want to see any badges pop up because they distract your attention. So we're not sure how to handle this yet, but we have this idea to have this focus mode idea. So what we did internally is we're building in a feature internally. It's not exposed, although people can use it once they see me do this. If they have Basecamp 3, they'll see how to do it, but it's not exposed anywhere else in the UI. There's no affordances for it anyway. If you double click in the menu bar, the menu bar goes black. Okay, so I'll double tap. Now it's normal and you've got badges. If you double tap in it, it goes black. So let me double click. Okay. Now, again, this is not obvious. It's not published anywhere. There's no other way to do it. It's just a way for us internally to test a feature. So everybody internally knows that you can do this now, and we're kind of playing with it. What this does is it takes you into what we're calling focus mode. And focus mode lets you use the app completely, right? So you can still use everything. I can do everything. I can ping people. I can see unreads in here, but I don't see any badges unless I click on the thing. See, I clicked on the thing and now I see a badge. But if I click off it, the badge will go away. If I click on here, I'm going to see a badge and see the unreads. But if I click on it, it'll go away. Or click away from it, it'll go away. So we're trying to come up with this way to say even badges can be turned off completely unless you're curious. And then if you're curious, you can go into these things and see if there's unreads, and then you can see the badges. But it's sort of like another layer of sort of quiet and notification sort of snoozing at an even deeper level. And it's just something we're toying with, but I think it's kind of neat. Sam came up with it this weekend. Ryan had mentioned something about it, and Sam came up with this idea just to double tap really quick. And it's kind of a cool internal way to test something out without having to tweak the UI, because we're not sure if we're going to keep it or not. And if we do keep it, we'll probably put it in the me menu somewhere, and you can maybe go dark or something like that. I like dark is kind of a cool way of thinking about it. But anyway, so we're playing with that as a little interface idea and testing it out internally and seeing how it goes. What's interesting is someone on Twitter, for some reason, somehow tweeted me. They're like, I don't know, if I double click the menu bar, it goes black. I don't know why.
But I like it. Did he? I think he even liked it, right?
Yeah. And it was like, wow, how did you figure that one out? Like, how did you even discover that? But it was kind of cool. And it's fine that people can do it. And I'm sort of the mind that, and this is deployed so other people can do it, that it's actually all right to have some things that are not discoverable in this way, but are like very cool level up things. Like if you know, like there's something about being in the know about some things. And this is ultimately a really minor, very sort of esoteric level of notification silencing. And I kind of like the fact that it's not published anywhere, and the only way to get to it is to know how. I think there's something cool. I think people actually inherently like being part of the club that understands how to do that. So I'm actually going to push for keeping it hidden for a while and seeing how people end up using it. So
I mean, I like it for a few different reasons. Like one, you know, I'm all about like focus mode. I mean, you know, one of the huge reasons Draft exists was just to, you know, get rid of all the Chrome and anything possible while I was writing. So I'm a big fan. Yeah, like even little tiny design changes like this about like removing even a little bit of Chrome of notifications, I think goes a long way if someone's trying to get work done and write something. So I think it's a big deal to actually pay attention to something like this. So I dig it. I also like the fact that this is like a tiny, it's like I saw Sam mention it when he was making it. It's like a tiny piece of JavaScript that enables this. And so it's also kind of interesting from a design and development perspective of like how little sometimes a change can be to like, I think, make something like this happen and make a big impact. Like with Draft, I like figured out how to make JavaScript turn off the delete button. So, you know, you can turn on this like ability to like turn off deleting, and it's such a tiny thing. And I feel like a lot of people look at something that's small like this and would say, that's dumb, and bypass it, not even give it any kind of attention. But man, do people like using that and talking about it. So it's again like a really neat, I don't know, I like looking at this and seeing how like, you know, Sam I think was able to do this really quickly, and you know, you guys are giving it its due and its shot, even though it's kind of this small ability. But I think it's powerful.
Yeah, and I think it's also one of these things that right now, I mean, I'm part of like a dozen, actually more than 30 or 40 different base camps, and there's a ton of activity going on, and like this idea of sort of being over notified and stuff is not really a common problem. It is sort of in our account right now because we have a ton of stuff happening in Basecamp already, and we're like, this is sort of a very esoteric, leveled up, you know, subtle level of control that I don't think a lot of people are looking for at the moment. But I like that Sam put it out there really quickly, and came up with sort of a little secret way of getting to it, and it's just kind of a neat thing to try out.
Yeah, it's kind of like In-N-Out Burger's secret menu.
Yeah.
You know, like you as a newcomer, you're gonna dig going to In-N-Out Burger, and you dig the simplicity of the menu, and you don't want a lot of options. Like there's no choice. You're gonna get the burger, and everybody freaking loves it. But like once you start getting in the know, there's actually a little secret menu to like order, you know, whatever, extra grilled onions and extra secret sauce or whatever.
Yeah.
So
oh, sorry.
no, I agree. I think it's neat. I think there's a couple of these things that, you know, having them on your on Basecamp's kind of secret menu that's not that hard to kind of figure out if you really want to know some of the power ways of using Basecamp. So I agree. I think it might be a neat thing to just kind of leave in the Easter eggs for people to kind of discover later. But
yeah, I think it's kind of neat because you know, let's say 3 months down the road, some people are like, man, you know, I just want to turn these badges off. Like I like everything else. The snoozing's great. I like being able to have control on my devices and the whole thing. But like these little things are really bugging me. And someone like writes a feature request or email support or something, and support can be like, hey, psst, got a secret for you.
yep.
If you do this, like the satisfaction level of learning like there's something deep about learning a secret, hearing a secret, and then having some power that you didn't have before, that was there the whole time, but you didn't know about it. Like there's something kind of cool about that. Now, some people, of course, would argue that like that's ridiculous. Like you got to make sure everything is obvious or possible or whatever. And you know, why would you ever want to hide anything? And like I get that argument too, but I think there's some fun psychology around minor stuff like this. This is not a fundamentally major thing. This is like, it'd be kind of neat if you could do that. And to me, that's the level of this feature, especially in the app right now as it is. And having it be this sort of secret hidden, if you know kind of thing, I think actually makes it a little bit more interesting. There's actually something we have in let me show you this. In Basecamp, God, I forget how to do this, but let me show you. Let me see if I can find this. Okay, right. So this is Basecamp. This is Basecamp BCX or Basecamp 2 now, and so I'm looking at it right now. If you type DOGCOW, it goes into like Mac Classic mode. Now, are you seeing that, by the way?
Yep.
Okay, so obviously this is an Easter egg, and obviously this is not important, and obviously this is not a functional thing, which is a little bit different from what I was showing before, which is a functional thing with notifications. But the fact that this exists, it's kind of fun. And you know, we've got this is kind of busted and stuff, but got the title bars here and the thing, and you get the black and white, and you got the Chicago font, although it's not quite Chicago, but you got the Chicago font. It's just like, now, of course, again, it's a different category because it's not the same thing, but there's something kind of fun about it. And now I don't actually know how to get out of here, so maybe I have to reload. There we go. I reload and it goes away. But it's kind of a fun little thing. So I like the double tap version as well for that same thing, even though it is functional.
Yeah, I dig it. It's cool.
So yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of tons of internal debate around notifications in general, and I think we landed on something that's pretty good. I think ultimately we're going to want to have more granularity around specific base camps. So right now it's sort of a generic cascading system, but there might be certain base camps that are extremely important to you, and you're like, let those through no matter what, like hit my phone no matter what if this happens. So I think we'll get to that sort of level of granularity down the road, but it certainly isn't required at the start.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly complex also because like Android and iOS handle notifications differently. Android's really good at sort of threading them together in like a single block, while iOS sort of puts each notification in a separate sort of block when they come in. There's a lot of different little subtleties between the two platforms, then also desktop. And when we do a native Mac app, which we're going to work on next year, like dealing with that, all sorts of different things. It's kind of interesting how complicated it's all gotten just to be kept in the loop on something.
Yeah. Does Firefox and IE these days, do they have browser notifications now?
I don't actually know. Personally, I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure someone out there knows, and they can tweet it to us. I suspect at least Firefox does, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So anyway,
cool.
That is that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can get back to talking. We back?
Well, thanks for showing that, man.
Yeah. Cool. And so if anyone out there is using Basecamp 3, if you double tap the menu bar at the top, it'll go into focus mode, which will hide all of your badges.
I'm curious, is there any stuff you're gonna outsource about this cascading notification system?
What do you mean? Like open source?
I'm just curious if there's a framework there about detecting, whether or not someone has opened up or, is paying attention to, their push notification, their desktop browser notifications. Basically, like the system of kind of detection and then cascade seems like something, I don't know, we could use, some other people could use.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would hit up David on that because he did most of the work on that, and it's possible he's going to extract that. Maybe it's something that's built into Rails. I don't know. I have no idea. But I would hit him up on that. Cool. Yeah, hit him up. I mean, I think it needs to be refined some more, and some of it's kind of special case for us. But certainly, there's something that could be extracted there. I'm sure it could be more generalized.
Cool. Yeah. All right, dude. That's cool. About 3 minutes. We'll call it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good deal. All right. Well, we'll talk tomorrow.
Cool. And everyone, please subscribe. We're up to like 1,200 plus subscribers.
Yes. I was just going to say the same thing. So you said it better than I could have.
Anyway, so we're having a really great time doing this. Yeah, please subscribe. Please share it with your friends on Twitter, Facebook, whoever you think will get a lot out of this. We really appreciate it.
Yep. Cool. See you everyone.
Tomorrow. Bye.
All right. Bye.